She walked into her dream job and heard the words that should have ended everything before it began. Black women are too much trouble. But Alicia Monroe didn't flinch. She smiled, because she knew something Jordan Hayes was about to learn the hard way. Underestimating her would be his biggest mistake. What started as a careless insult became a battle of wills in Manhattan's most cutthroat marketing firm. But when rivalry turned to respect, and respect ignited into something neither of them expected, the real danger wasn't their feelings. It was the person watching from the shadows, ready to destroy them both. One smile changed everything. One betrayal nearly broke them, and one choice would prove whether love could survive in a world built on judgment. Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because this story is about to show you that the people who challenge us the most might just be the ones we need the most. The morning sun cut through the glass walls of Sullivan and Associates, lighting up the Manhattan skyline beyond. Inside the marketing firm's main conference room, people chatted over coffee, waiting for the weekly team meeting to start. Jordan Hayes leaned against the window, arms crossed, looking every bit the confident marketing director he was. At 29, he'd earned his reputation through sharp campaigns and even sharper instincts. His dark suit fit perfectly. His brown hair was styled just right. He knew he belonged here. "New blood today," his friend Daniel Brooks said, sliding up beside him with 2 coffee cups. "Fresh strategist from the Chicago office." Jordan took the cup without looking away from his phone. "Another strategist. Just what we need. This one's supposed to be good, really good." Daniel lowered his voice, glancing toward the door. "Ethan personally requested her transfer." Jordan's eyebrow lifted. Ethan Ward, their CEO, didn't request people unless they were exceptional. "Her? Yeah. Name's Alicia Monroe, 27. Turned around 3 failing campaigns last year." Daniel paused, then added with a smirk, "She's also... Black women are too much trouble." Jordan muttered it without thinking, the words slipping out as he scrolled through an email about a difficult client. He'd meant it about the client's brand manager, who'd been making impossible demands all week, but the timing couldn't have been worse, because at that exact moment, Alicia Monroe walked through the door. She was tall and graceful, wearing a navy blue dress that was both professional and striking. Her natural hair was pulled back in a neat bun. Her dark eyes swept the room with calm confidence, taking in faces, reading the energy, and she'd heard him. Jordan felt it immediately, the shift in the air, the way her gaze landed on him for just a fraction too long. His stomach dropped. Daniel tensed beside him, but Alicia didn't frown, didn't glare, didn't call him out. Instead, she smiled. It wasn't a fake smile or an angry one. It was knowing, amused almost, like she'd just been handed information she could use later. She walked straight toward them, her heels clicking softly on the polished floor. "Good morning," she said, her voice warm and clear. "I'm Alicia Monroe. You must be Jordan Hayes. I've heard a lot about your work." She extended her hand. Jordan's brain scrambled. He shook her hand, feeling the firm, confident grip. Yes. Welcome to the team. Thank you." Her smile never wavered. "I'm looking forward to working with everyone here. I think we'll do great things together." She held his gaze for one more beat, just long enough to let him know she'd heard every word, then turned to greet the others in the room. Daniel exhaled slowly. "That was... yeah." Jordan's jaw tightened. He watched Alicia introduce herself to their colleagues with easy charm, making people laugh within seconds. That was bad. The meeting started 5 minutes later. Jordan tried to focus on Ethan's announcements about quarterly goals and new client acquisitions, but his attention kept drifting to Alicia. She sat 3 seats down, taking notes in a leather portfolio, asking smart questions, nodding at the right moments. She belonged here. That much was obvious, and she knew what he'd said. When the meeting ended, Jordan gathered his things quickly, planning to escape to his office. But Alicia was already at her new desk, right across from his naturally, setting up her laptop and organizing files. She glanced up as he passed. "Nice office layout. Very open." "Yeah." He paused, then forced himself to be professional. "If you need anything, I'm sure I'll figure it out, but thank you." Her tone was polite, nothing more. Jordan nodded and retreated to his office, closing the door behind him. He sat at his desk, running a hand through his hair. "Idiot," he thought. "You're such an idiot." The second clash came faster than Jordan expected. That afternoon, Ethan called an emergency planning meeting for the Meridian Tech account, a major client launching a new product line in 6 weeks. Jordan had been developing the campaign for 2 months. He knew it inside and out, But apparently so did Alicia. The positioning is safe, she said, 20 minutes into Jordan's presentation. Her voice wasn't harsh, just matter of fact. It plays to the brand's existing audience without expanding reach. In a market this competitive, safe doesn't win. Jordan stopped mid-sentence, his laser pointer hovering over a slide. Safe? This strategy is based on extensive market research, which tells you what worked before. Alicia leaned forward slightly, her hands folded on the table. But Meridian wants innovation. They want to lead their category, not follow it. This campaign follows. The room went quiet. Jordan felt heat creeping up his neck. She'd been here for 4 hours and was already tearing apart his work. What would you suggest? Ethan asked, his tone neutral but interested. Alicia didn't hesitate. Flip the narrative. Instead of selling features, sell transformation. Show customers becoming the heroes of their own stories through the product. Make it emotional, not technical. Make them feel something. Jordan opened his mouth to argue, but Ethan was nodding slowly. That's interesting. Jordan, could we explore that angle? Could they? Of course they could. But Jordan didn't want to admit she was right. It's a risk, he said instead. Emotional campaigns can backfire if the execution isn't perfect. Then we make sure the execution is perfect. Alicia's eyes met his, calm and steady. That's what we're here for, isn't it? The meeting ended with Ethan asking both of them to revise the strategy over the next 2 days. Together, Jordan stormed back to his office, Daniel trailing behind him. She's good, Daniel admitted, but also kind of, don't. Jordan dropped into his chair. Just don't. I was going to say, intense. Daniel grinned. But you were thinking something else, weren't you? Jordan glared at him. I'll put her in her place, watch. But even as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it. Alicia arrived at 7 the next morning, coffee in hand, ready to dive into the Meridian project. The office was nearly empty, just her, the hum of the air conditioning, and the city waking up beyond the windows. She liked it this way, quiet, focused. She was reviewing competitor campaigns when she heard footsteps. Jordan appeared in the doorway of the shared workspace, looking surprised. You're here early. So are you, she replied without looking up. He hesitated, then walked to the opposite end of the table and opened his laptop. For 10 minutes they worked in silence, the kind of silence that buzzed with unspoken tension. Finally Jordan spoke. About yesterday. Your campaign had good bones, Alicia interrupted smoothly. The research was solid. I just think we can push it further. I meant about what I said. This morning when you walked in. Now she looked up. His expression was careful, guarded, not quite apologetic, but not dismissive either. I heard you, she said simply. But I'm not here to make you comfortable, Jordan. I'm here to do my job, and I'm very good at my job. Something flickered in his eyes. Respect? Frustration? She couldn't tell. Fair enough. They went back to work. But 15 minutes later, Tara Lynn, a junior analyst with bright energy and endless enthusiasm, bounced over with pastries from the cafe downstairs. Thought you both could use breakfast, Tara said, setting down the bag. Especially since you're here so early working on Meridian. That campaign's going to be amazing with both of you on it. Alicia smiled. Thanks, Tara, that's sweet. Tara grinned and headed back to her desk. Jordan eyed the pastries, then took one. She's right, you know, he said after a moment. About the campaign, it probably will be good with both of us. Alicia met his gaze. It wasn't quite a truce, but it was something. Let's hope so. By 9 o'clock, the office filled with the usual chaos of phones ringing, meetings starting, and people rushing between desks. And at 10, Ethan called them both into his office. I've made a decision, he said, sitting behind his massive desk. You're both talented. You both bring different strengths. So I'm making you co-leads on the Meridian account. Jordan's face went blank. Co-leads? Yes. You'll present together, strategize together, share responsibility equally. Ethan leaned back. This is a major account. I need your best work. Both of you. Alicia kept her expression neutral, but inside her heart sank. Working with Jordan Hayes, the man who'd dismissed her before even meeting her. But she nodded. Understood. Jordan nodded too, though his jaw was tight. We'll make it work. Good. Ethan stood, signaling the meeting was over. First client presentation is tomorrow at 2. Don't disappoint me. They left his office in silence, walking side by side down the hallway. When they reached the elevators, Jordan finally spoke. I guess we're stuck with each other. Alicia pressed the button. Looks that way. Can I ask you something? She glanced at him. Sure. Why didn't you call me out? This morning, when you heard what I said, the elevator dinged. The doors opened. Alicia stepped inside, then turned to face him. "Because I didn't need to," she said quietly. "Your face when you realized I heard. That was enough. Besides," she smiled just a little, "I'd rather prove you wrong than lecture you." The doors started to close. Jordan's hand shot out, stopping them. "You already did," he said. "Prove me wrong." Her smile widened slightly. "Then my work here is done." This time, she let the doors close. The client meeting was a disaster. Not because of the campaign, that part was solid, but because Alicia and Jordan couldn't agree on anything. "We recommend a digital-first approach," Jordan said, clicking through slides. "With strong social integration," Alicia added, "particularly on platforms where younger demographics are already oversaturated with tech ads," Jordan cut in, "which is why we balance digital with experiential marketing. Experiential is expensive and harder to measure ROI, but it creates memorable brand moments, which don't matter if the message isn't clear first." Back and forth they went, their disagreement becoming more obvious with each exchange. The clients, 3 executives from Meridian Tech, watched with growing concern. Finally, the lead executive held up a hand. "Maybe you two need more time to align your vision?" It wasn't a question. It was a polite way of saying, "Get your act together." After they left, Ethan called Jordan and Alicia into the conference room. His expression was stone. "That was embarrassing," he said flatly. "For them, for me, for this firm. We were just debating strategy," Jordan started. "You were bickering like children." Ethan's voice was sharp. "I don't care about your personal feelings toward each other. I care about results. And right now, you're delivering chaos." Alicia felt the sting of shame. She'd let her frustration with Jordan affect her professionalism. That wasn't like her. "Here's what's going to happen," Ethan continued. "You have 1 week to fix the campaign and present a unified front. If you can't work together, I'll reassign the account to someone who can. And both your reputations will take the hit." He dismissed them without another word. Jordan and Alicia walked out together, the silence between them heavy and uncomfortable. When they reached the elevators, neither spoke. Finally, as the doors opened, Jordan turned to her. "I don't want to lose this account. Neither do I. So, we need to figure this out." Alicia nodded slowly. "Agreed, but that means actually listening to each other, not just waiting for our turn to talk." Jordan exhaled. "Yeah, you're right." They stepped into the elevator. The doors closed, and for the first time they stood side by side without tension crackling between them. Maybe there was hope after all. That night, both of them stayed late. The office emptied gradually. People leaving for dinner, dates, life beyond work. By 8 o'clock, only a handful of lights remained on, including theirs. Alicia sat in the conference room, surrounded by printouts and sketches, reworking the campaign structure. She heard footsteps and looked up to see Jordan in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Peace offering," he said, setting one in front of her. "Black, no sugar. Tara told me that's how you take it." Alicia couldn't help a small smile. "You asked Tara about my coffee order." "I asked Tara a lot of things." He sat down across from her, looking tired but sincere. "I'm trying to do better here, Alicia. I know I screwed up multiple times, and I know I can't just erase that. But I want to try." She studied him for a moment. There was no arrogance in his face now, just honesty. "Okay," she said finally. "Let's try." They spent the next 2 hours actually collaborating. No interrupting, no fighting, just building something together. And slowly something shifted. They found rhythm, they found compromise, they found common ground. Jordan discovered that when he really listened, Alicia's ideas weren't just good, they were brilliant. Her instincts for audience emotion, for storytelling, for creating campaigns that felt human. It was exactly what he needed, but had been too stubborn to see. And Alicia saw past his earlier rudeness to the strategic mind underneath. Jordan understood market positioning, data analysis, and how to frame a narrative for maximum impact. He wasn't just arrogant, he was genuinely talented. "What if," Alicia said, sketching on a whiteboard, "we combine both approaches? Start digital to create buzz, then follow with experiential events that deepen the connection?" Jordan leaned forward. "A 2-phase rollout. Build anticipation, then deliver experience." "Exactly." Their eyes met, and for the first time they smiled at each other. Really smiled, without tension or guardedness. "That's actually perfect," Jordan admitted. "I know," Alicia said, her eyes sparkling with humor. "I'm full of good ideas." He laughed. "Okay, I deserve that." By 10 o'clock they had a revised strategy that felt right. Cohesive, strong. They packed up their things, exhausted but satisfied. Jordan walked Alicia to the elevator, something he hadn't planned to do. It just felt natural. "Thanks for staying late," he said as they waited. "And for giving me a chance to not be a complete jerk." "You weren't a complete jerk tonight," Alicia replied. "More like 70%. He grinned. "I'll take it." The elevator arrived. She stepped inside, then turned to face him. The space between them felt different now. Warmer, less like a battleground. "See you tomorrow, Jordan." "See you tomorrow, Alicia." The doors closed, and Jordan stood there for a moment, thinking about her smile, her laugh, the way she'd looked at him when they finally found their rhythm. Something had changed tonight. He just wasn't sure what it meant. 2 days later, they pitched again. This time they were a unit, seamless, synchronized, each building on the other's points instead of contradicting them. The Meridian executives leaned forward, engaged. When Alicia outlined the emotional narrative, Jordan supported it with data. When Jordan presented the rollout timeline, Alicia added creative touchpoints that made it come alive. By the end, the room was buzzing with energy. "This is exactly what we wanted," the lead executive said, nodding enthusiastically. "Innovative but grounded. Emotional but strategic. When can we start?" Ethan smiled, the first real smile Alicia had seen from him. "We'll have contracts ready by Monday." After the clients left, the team erupted in quiet celebration. Tara hugged Alicia. Daniel clapped Jordan on the back. Even Ethan gave them an approving nod before returning to his office. But it was the moment after, when the room cleared and it was just Jordan and Alicia standing by the windows, that mattered most. "We did it," she said softly. "You did it," Jordan corrected. "That emotional narrative arc, that's what sold them. I was just the support act." Alicia turned to face him fully. "No, we did it. Together. That's the whole point, Jordan. Neither of us could have done this alone." He looked at her then, really looked at her, not as an opponent or a colleague, but as someone he was starting to understand, someone he respected, someone who'd challenged him and made him better. "You're right," he said quietly. "We're a team." She smiled and something in his chest tightened. "Remember that." "I will." Later, as Alicia headed back to her desk, she caught sight of Jordan through the glass wall of his office. He was on the phone, laughing about something, but when he noticed her looking, he paused, waved. She waved back. And for the first time since arriving at Sullivan & Associates, Alicia felt like maybe, just maybe, she'd found not just a workplace, but a partner. She didn't know it yet, but everything was about to get much more complicated. The next morning, the office felt different. Alicia noticed it the moment she walked through the doors. People glanced at her, then quickly looked away. Clusters of co-workers stopped talking when she passed. By the time she reached her desk, her coffee was cold from holding it too long while navigating the strange energy. Nina Caldwell appeared beside her desk within minutes. At 33, the HR manager had a warm smile and no-nonsense attitude that Alicia appreciated. They'd bonded over lunch the week before. "Morning, superstar," Nina said, perching on the edge of Alicia's desk. "The whole office is talking about your pitch yesterday. That's good, right?" "Very good, though." Nina's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Some of them are talking about more than just the pitch." Alicia looked up from her laptop. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you and Jordan Hayes looked pretty cozy yesterday. Very synchronized, very compatible." Nina grinned. "The charming boss who suddenly learned to behave himself around you." "We were doing our jobs, Nina." "Uh-huh, sure." Nina crossed her arms. "That's why half the office saw you two laughing in the conference room until 10 o'clock the other night." Alicia felt heat creep up her neck. "We were working." "Working on what? The campaign or each other?" "Nina, I'm just saying, girl, people notice things, and what they're noticing is chemistry." Nina's expression softened. "For what it's worth, I think it's kind of sweet. Jordan needed someone to knock him down a few pegs, and you did it with style." Before Alicia could respond, Jordan himself appeared in the hallway. He caught her eye and smiled. A real smile, not the polite professional mask he'd worn before. "Coffee?" he called across the open office space. "I'm making a run downstairs." "Sure," Alicia answered, trying to sound casual. "Thanks." Several heads turned to watch the exchange. She could practically feel the gossip spreading like wildfire. Nina laughed quietly. "Oh, honey, you're in trouble now. There's nothing going on. Not yet." Nina stood, smoothing her skirt. "But mark my words, something's brewing, and the whole office knows it." She walked away, leaving Alicia wondering if everyone could see something she wasn't ready to admit yet. Jordan returned 15 minutes later with 2 coffees and a bag of pastries from the cafe 3 blocks over. The good one, not the mediocre place downstairs. You didn't have to go all the way to Benson's, Alicia said as he set everything down. I know, but their almond croissants are better. He pulled one out, wrapped in paper, and slid it toward her. Figured we earned it after yesterday. We did earn it. She took a bite and the buttery layers practically melted on her tongue. Okay, you're right. These are way better. They ate in comfortable silence for a moment, the morning sun streaming through the windows, the city humming below them. It felt easy, natural, like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. So, Jordan said, wiping crumbs from his hands, Ethan wants us to start on the Hartwell account next. It's a big one. Cosmetics company rebranding for a younger demographic. I saw the brief yesterday. Looks challenging. It is, but I think we can handle it. He paused. If you want to partner on it, that is. I'd understand if you wanted to take a solo project instead. Alicia looked at him, surprised. A week ago, Jordan wouldn't have given her the choice. He would have just assumed he'd lead, and she'd follow. I want to partner, she said. We work well together. His smile was genuine, reaching his eyes. Yeah, we do. More people glanced their way, casual looks that lingered just a beat too long. Alicia tried not to notice, but it was impossible to ignore completely. People are watching us, she said quietly. Jordan followed her gaze, then shrugged. Let them watch. We're not doing anything wrong. I know. It just feels weird. Welcome to office life. He stood, gathering the empty cups. For what it's worth, I think most of them are just jealous they didn't get to work on Meridian, or maybe they're jealous of me for getting to work with you. Alicia raised an eyebrow. Smooth, Jordan. Very smooth. He grinned and walked away, leaving her shaking her head but smiling despite herself. By lunchtime, a photo of them laughing over coffee that morning had made its way through the office group chat. Tara showed it to Alicia with an apologetic wince. Someone took this from across the floor, Tara explained. I thought you should know it's going around. The image wasn't incriminating, just 2 colleagues sharing a moment, but the caption underneath made Alicia's stomach tighten. When did these 2 get so close? Great, she muttered. For what it's worth, Tara said, I think you both look happy. And that's nice to see. Jordan's been different lately. Better. Alicia appreciated Tara's kindness, but the gossip still bothered her. She'd worked hard to build her reputation. She didn't want it reduced to office romance speculation. That evening, as people filed out for the day, Jordan appeared at her desk again. Want to grab dinner? He asked. We could talk through the Hartwell strategy. Alicia hesitated. Dinner felt personal, more than coffee or croissants in the office. But she was also hungry, and they really did need to discuss Hartwell. Okay, she said, but somewhere quiet. I've had enough of being watched today. Deal. They ended up at a small Italian place 2 blocks from the office. Nothing fancy, just good food and dim lighting. They slid into a corner booth, and for the first time all day, Alicia felt like she could breathe. Better? Jordan asked. Much better. They ordered, then dove into work talk, target demographics, brand positioning, visual concepts. But somewhere between the appetizers and main course, the conversation shifted. Can I ask you something personal? Jordan said, twirling pasta around his fork. Depends on the question. Why marketing? Why this career? Alicia considered the question. Not many people asked her that. I like solving puzzles. Every brand, every campaign, it's a puzzle. How do you reach people? How do you make them care? And when you solve it right, when you connect with someone and change their mind or their feelings about something, she smiled. That's powerful. That's a good answer. What about you? Why marketing? Jordan leaned back. Honestly, I like the idea of being in control, shaping narratives, making people see things my way. He paused, which sounds pretty arrogant now that I say it out loud. A little, Alicia agreed, but her tone was gentle. But at least you're aware of it. You made me aware of it. He met her eyes. You've made me aware of a lot of things. The air between them shifted, became charged with something Alicia couldn't quite name. She looked away first, reaching for her water glass. We should probably head back, she said softly. Yeah, probably. But neither of them moved right away. The following week, everything changed again. Ethan called them into his office Monday morning with news. Hartwell wanted an in-person presentation in Boston, at their headquarters, and they wanted Jordan and Alicia there for 3 days of site visits, focus groups, and strategy sessions. You'll fly out Wednesday, Ethan said. Hotel and expenses covered, of course. This is a huge opportunity. Hartwell's a $50 million account. Don't mess it up. After they left his office, Jordan turned to Alicia with a grin. Road trip. Business trip, she corrected. Same thing. Not even close. But secretly, Alicia felt a flutter of nerves. 3 days. Away from the office. Just her and Jordan. This was either going to be really good or really complicated. The flight was smooth. Jordan insisted on first-class tickets. Ethan approved the budget, he said, and Alicia teased him about it the entire time. You can't fly commercial like a normal person? I could, but why suffer when you don't have to? He stretched out in his seat, looking far too comfortable. Besides, we need to arrive sharp. Hard to be sharp when you're cramped in economy. I've flown economy my entire life and managed just fine. That's because you're exceptional. He said it casually, like it was obvious, like it wasn't a compliment that made her heart skip a beat. They landed in Boston by early afternoon and went straight to the Hartwell headquarters, a sleek glass building overlooking the harbor. The meetings were intense back-to-back sessions with executives who asked tough questions and expected detailed answers. But Jordan and Alicia were ready. They moved through presentations like dancers who'd rehearsed for months, each knowing exactly when to step in, when to step back, when to support the other's point. By the time they finished for the day, it was nearly 7 o'clock. They checked into their hotel, a boutique place in the North End with exposed brick and soft lighting. Dinner? Jordan asked as they stood in the lobby. Alicia was exhausted, but also starving. Give me 20 minutes to change. Meet you back here. She went to her room, showered quickly and changed into a simple black dress. Nothing fancy, just comfortable and presentable. When she came back down, Jordan was waiting in dark jeans and a grey button-down, looking relaxed in a way she'd never seen at the office. He did a double take when he saw her. You look, wow. It's just a dress. It's a really good dress. They walked to a nearby restaurant, a cozy place with candles on every table and jazz playing softly in the background. It felt intimate, like a date, which it definitely wasn't, Alicia reminded herself. They ordered wine, then food, then settled into conversation that had nothing to do with work. Jordan told her about growing up in Connecticut, about his family's expectations, about the pressure to succeed that had shaped him. My dad's a lawyer, he explained. My older brother's a doctor. I was supposed to be something important too. Marketing felt like, I don't know, like proving I could succeed on my own terms. And you have succeeded. Maybe. But sometimes I wonder if I've been so focused on proving myself that I forgot to actually be a decent person along the way. He looked at her then, really looked at her. Until you showed up and reminded me. Alicia's breath caught. Jordan. I'm serious, Alicia. That first day, what I said, it was wrong. And not just because you heard it. It was wrong because I didn't even know you. And I made an assumption based on nothing. On bias I didn't even realize I had. He shook his head. I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. The sincerity in his voice, in his eyes, broke through every wall Alicia had built. Apology accepted, she said quietly. And for what it's worth, I think you're becoming a better person. Change doesn't happen overnight, but you're trying. That matters. You think so? I know so. They talked for another hour, the conversation flowing easily from one topic to another. Alicia shared her own story, growing up in Atlanta, working 2 jobs through college, fighting for every opportunity she'd ever gotten. Jordan listened without interrupting, his attention completely focused on her. When they finally left the restaurant, the night air was cool and perfect. They walked slowly back toward the hotel, neither in a hurry to end the evening. Thank you for tonight, Jordan said as they reached the lobby. For dinner, for the conversation, for everything. Thank you too. They stood in the hallway outside their rooms, right next to each other, of course, and the silence stretched between them, heavy with possibility. Jordan reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Alicia. She looked up at him, her heart pounding, and then footsteps echoed down the hall. One of the Hartwell executives, Mr. Chen, appeared around the corner, pulling a suitcase. Oh, Jordan, Alicia, good evening. The moment shattered. They stepped apart quickly, smiling politely. Evening, Mr. Chen, Jordan said, his voice steady. Looking forward to tomorrow's session, Alicia added. As am I. Have a good night. He disappeared into his room, leaving them alone again. But the spell was broken. I should get some sleep, Alicia said, fumbling with her room key. Yeah, me too. She opened her door, then paused. Jordan? Yeah? Tonight was really nice. He smiled, soft and genuine. Yeah, it was. She closed the door and leaned against it, her heart racing. What are you doing? She asked herself. This is your colleague, your partner. You can't. But her heart wasn't listening to logic anymore. The next day's presentation almost went perfectly. Almost. Halfway through their pitch to Hartwell's board, the screen froze, then went black. Technical glitch. The projector overheated, killing their entire slide deck. Jordan's face went pale. They'd spent weeks on those visuals. Without them, the presentation fell apart. But Alicia didn't panic. She stepped forward, grabbed a marker, and started sketching on the whiteboard behind them. "Let me show you what we're proposing," she said, her voice calm and confident. She drew quick diagrams, outlined the strategy in broad strokes, told the story of the campaign with nothing but a marker and her own conviction. Jordan watched, stunned. Then he joined her, adding details, building on her improvisation. Together, they turned disaster into something even better, more personal, more engaging, more real. When they finished, the board applauded. "That was incredible," the CEO said. "Most people would have fallen apart. You two rolled with it." "That's exactly the kind of creative thinking we need." After the presentation, alone in the hallway, Jordan grabbed Alicia's arm gently. "You're the best strategist I've ever met," he said, his voice thick with emotion and admiration. "You just saved everything." She grinned. "Glad you finally noticed." He laughed, pulling her into a quick hug. It lasted maybe 3 seconds, but Alicia felt it everywhere. On the flight home that evening, they shared a pair of earbuds, listening to music and not talking much. Jordan's playlist surprised her. Thoughtful indie songs. Nothing flashy or obvious. "Didn't peg you for a Fleet Foxes fan," she murmured. "There's a lot you don't know about me yet." Yet, she thought, like there would be time to learn, like they had a future beyond campaigns and presentations. Halfway through the flight, Jordan fell asleep, his head tilting toward her shoulder. Alicia glanced at him, his face relaxed, the usual confidence replaced with something softer, more vulnerable. Without thinking, she reached up and gently adjusted his position so he'd be more comfortable. Then she pulled the thin airplane blanket over both of them. They landed at midnight. The city lights of New York glittered below them as they descended, and Alicia felt something shift inside her chest. She was falling for him, despite everything. Despite the rocky start and the office gossip and all the reasons this was complicated, she was falling and she didn't know how to stop. Monday morning hit like cold water. Alicia walked into the office and immediately felt the stares. Not the curious glances from before. These were sharper, more knowing, more judgmental. Nina was at her desk within minutes, her expression worried. "We need to talk," Nina said quietly, pulling Alicia toward the break room. Once they were alone, Nina showed her phone. The office group chat was exploding with messages. Photos of Jordan and Alicia in Boston, walking together on the street, sitting close at dinner, him tucking hair behind her ear in the hotel hallway. Someone had been following them, taking pictures. "Who took these?" Alicia's voice was tight. "No one knows. They just started circulating this morning." Nina's face was sympathetic. "People are talking, Alicia, saying you're getting special treatment, that the Boston trip was more vacation than business, that Jordan only praises your work because he's—" "Don't," Alicia held up a hand. "Don't finish that sentence. I'm just telling you what they're saying." Alicia stared at the photos. They looked innocent, because they were innocent, but through the lens of gossip everything seemed suspicious, intimate, wrong. "Nothing happened in Boston," she said firmly. "We worked. We presented. We came home. I believe you, but not everyone will." Alicia went to her desk, trying to ignore the whispers that followed her. She buried herself in work, responding to emails, reviewing campaign data, anything to avoid thinking about the gossip spreading like poison through the office. Jordan arrived an hour later. He headed straight to her desk, his face dark with anger. "Did you see?" "I saw. This is ridiculous. We didn't do anything wrong. I know that, but it doesn't matter what we know. It matters what they think." Alicia kept her voice low. "And right now they think I'm sleeping my way to success." Jordan's jaw clenched. "No one actually believes that, don't they?" She finally looked up at him. "I'm the new woman. You're the director. We went on a business trip and came back closer than before. Of course they believe it. Then I'll tell them the truth." "And say what, Jordan? That nothing happened? They won't believe you. It'll just make things worse." She turned back to her computer. "We need to keep our distance for a while. Professionally, at least." "Alicia, please, just give me space." He stood there for a long moment, then nodded stiffly and walked away. Alicia felt her chest tighten. She hated this. Hated that something good was being twisted into something ugly. hated that she had to push Jordan away to protect her reputation. But what choice did she have? The whispers got worse over the next 2 days. Alicia heard fragments as she passed desks or entered conference rooms. She's only been here a month. Moved up fast, didn't she? Convenient that Jordan suddenly thinks she's brilliant. She held her head high and kept working, but inside she was exhausted. Wednesday afternoon, Daniel Brooks made a joke during a team meeting. It was crude, barely disguised as humor. "So, Alicia," he said with a smirk, "what's your secret for getting the best projects? Good work or good connections?" The room went silent. Everyone looked uncomfortable. A few people stared at their laptops. Alicia felt heat flood her face, but she kept her voice steady. "My secret is working hard and delivering results. You should try it sometime, Daniel." Some people laughed nervously. Daniel's smirk faded, but Jordan's face went dark red. His hands gripped the table edge so hard, his knuckles turned white. "That's enough," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "What? I was just joking." "No, you are being disrespectful." Jordan stood, and suddenly the room felt smaller. "Alicia earned every project she's been given. She saved the Meridian presentation when I almost lost it. She improvised brilliantly in Boston when the tech failed. She's the smartest person in this room, and anyone who can't see that is either blind or threatened." Dead silence. Jordan looked around the table, meeting every single person's eyes. "If I hear anyone else making comments about Alicia's work or suggesting she's here for any reason other than talent, you'll answer to me directly. Are we clear?" Murmurs of agreement. I said, "Are we clear?" "Yes," several voices said at once. "Good. Meeting's over." People filed out quickly, avoiding Jordan's gaze. Daniel left without a word, his face red with humiliation. Alicia sat frozen, her heart pounding. No one had ever defended her like that. Not publicly. Not with such fierce certainty. When the room emptied, Jordan turned to her. "I'm sorry, I know you said to give you space, but I couldn't just sit there and let him." She stood and hugged him. It surprised them both, but Alicia couldn't help it. The words he'd said, the way he'd stood up for her, it broke through every wall she'd built. "Thank you," she whispered against his shoulder. His arms came around her, holding her carefully. Always. They stood there for a moment, and Alicia felt safe for the first time in days. But then footsteps approached. They broke apart just as Tara appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide. "Sorry, I forgot my notebook." She grabbed it from the table and hurried out, looking flustered. Jordan sighed. "That'll be all over the office in an hour." "Probably. Do you care?" Alicia looked at him, really looked at him, at the man who'd started as her adversary and become someone she couldn't stop thinking about, someone who made her laugh and challenged her and defended her when she needed it most. "I'm starting not to," she admitted. His smile was slow and warm. "Good, because I'm done pretending I don't care about you." Her breath caught. "Jordan, I know it's complicated. I know the timing's terrible. I know there's office politics and gossip and 100 reasons why this is a bad idea." He stepped closer. "But I also know that working with you is the best part of my day, that you make me want to be better, that I can't stop thinking about you no matter how hard I try." Alicia's heart raced. "We work together. If this goes wrong, then we'll handle it together." His hand found hers, fingers interlacing. "But I think it's worth the risk, don't you?" She thought about Boston, about late nights working side by side, about the way he looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. "Yeah," she said softly, "I do." That Friday, the company held its annual gala, a celebration of successful campaigns and client wins. Black tie, open bar, the whole firm in attendance. Alicia almost didn't go, but Nina convinced her. "You can't hide," Nina said firmly. "You go, you look amazing, and you show everyone you're not scared of their stupid gossip." So Alicia wore a dress she'd been saving, deep emerald green, elegant and stunning. She did her makeup carefully, let her natural hair fall in soft curls around her shoulders. When she arrived at the event, held in a rooftop venue overlooking the city, heads turned. But the only head she cared about was Jordan's. He stood near the bar wearing a perfectly tailored black suit. When he saw her, he froze mid-conversation, his drink halfway to his mouth. Daniel said something, but Jordan didn't respond. He just stared. Alicia walked toward him, her confidence returning with every step. Let people stare. Let them talk. She was done hiding. "Hi," she said when she reached him. "Hi." His voice was rough. Alicia, you look incredible. So do you." They stood there, the party flowing around them, neither quite sure what to say next. Then the music changed, something slow and jazzy, and Jordan extended his hand. "Dance with me." She hesitated for only a second. Then she took his hand. They moved to the dance floor, and suddenly nothing else mattered. Not the gossip, not the stares, not the whispers that rippled through the crowd as Jordan's hand settled on her waist and pulled her close. "Everyone's watching," Alicia murmured. "Let them watch." His eyes never left hers. "I'm tired of pretending." "Me too." They swayed together, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Like they'd been doing this forever. Like they were meant to fit together exactly this way. "Alicia," Jordan said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm falling for you. Actually falling. And it scares me because I've never felt like this before. But it also feels right. You feel right." Her eyes stung with sudden tears. Happy tears. "Jordan, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know." But she wanted to say something. Wanted to tell him that she felt the same way. That he'd somehow become the most important person in her life. That she was falling too. Instead, she pulled him closer and rested her head against his shoulder. "I know," she whispered. "I feel it too." The song ended, but they didn't move. Not right away. They stayed wrapped in each other, in the moment, in the feeling that everything was finally falling into place. When they finally stepped outside for air, the city glittered below them. The rooftop was quieter here, away from the party noise. Jordan turned to her, his hand coming up to cup her face. "Can I—" She didn't let him finish. She kissed him first. It was soft and sweet and perfect. Everything a first kiss should be. His arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. Her hands slid up to his shoulders, then into his hair. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "Wow," Jordan said. Alicia laughed. "Yeah, wow." They kissed again, longer this time, slower, and Alicia felt like she was floating. This was worth it, he was worth it, everything was perfect. Until Monday morning, when everything fell apart. Alicia arrived at work to chaos. The office group chat had exploded overnight with new photos. Her and Jordan on the rooftop, dancing close, kissing under the stars. But these photos were different, edited, cropped to look more intimate than they were, captioned with cruel speculation. Guess we know how she really got ahead. Office romance or career strategy? Poor thing doesn't even realize she's just his flavor of the month. Alicia's hands shook as she scrolled through the messages. Over 100 comments, most of them vicious. Nina appeared beside her, face pale. "HR wants to see you. And Jordan. Right now." Ethan was in the HR office too, along with the head of human resources, a stern woman named Margaret Chen. "Sit down," Margaret said. They sat. Alicia felt numb. "We've received multiple complaints about inappropriate workplace conduct," Margaret continued. "Photos of you two in compromising situations. While we don't prohibit relationships between employees, we do require disclosure and professional boundaries." "We haven't crossed any boundaries," Jordan said firmly. "We've delivered excellent work on every project." "That's not the point, Mr. Hayes. The point is perception. The point is that other employees feel uncomfortable. Some have even suggested favoritism." Alicia found her voice. "My work speaks for itself. Every campaign I've led has succeeded." "We're not questioning your work, Ms. Monroe. We're questioning your judgment." The words hit like a slap. Alicia felt her eyes burn. Ethan finally spoke, his voice measured. "Here's what's going to happen. You'll both be assigned to separate projects for the next month. No joint work, no collaboration. Keep things strictly professional during business hours. After that, we'll reassess." "But the Hartwell account," Jordan started. "Will be split. Jordan, you'll handle strategy. Alicia, you'll manage execution. Minimal interaction." Ethan's expression was firm. "I need my best people focused on work, not office drama. Am I clear?" "Yes," Alicia whispered. Jordan's jaw was tight, but he nodded. They left the office separately. Alicia went straight to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and let the tears come. She'd worked so hard, built her reputation from nothing, and now it was all reduced to gossip and speculation, because she'd let herself care about someone, because she'd thought maybe, just maybe, she could have both, a career and a connection. When she finally emerged, Nina was waiting outside. "I'm so sorry," Nina said, pulling her into a hug. "This is so unfair." "It is what it is." "No, it's not. Someone leaked those photos on purpose. Someone wanted to hurt you." Alicia pulled back. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. The photos from Boston, the ones from the gala. Someone's been following you, taking pictures, spreading them at exactly the right moments to cause maximum damage. Nina's expression was serious. This isn't random gossip, this is sabotage. A chill ran down Alicia's spine. Who would do that? I don't know, but we need to find out. The next week was torture. Alicia and Jordan barely spoke. When they passed in the hallway, they exchanged polite nods. Nothing more. In meetings, they sat on opposite sides of the room. The separation was killing her. She threw herself into work, staying late every night, pushing herself harder than ever. If people were going to question her abilities, she'd prove them wrong through sheer excellence. But at night, alone in her apartment, she felt the loss of Jordan like a physical ache. Nina told her he was struggling too, turning down invitations to happy hours, leaving the office early to avoid running into her, looking miserable in every meeting. He's a mess without you, Nina reported. Barely talks to anyone, just works and goes home. Alicia wanted to reach out, wanted to text him, call him anything, but she was scared. Scared of making things worse, scared of losing her job, scared of admitting how much she needed him. So she did nothing, and the silence stretched between them like a canyon. 2 weeks after the HR meeting, Jordan was offered a promotion, Senior Director of Marketing. His own department, more money, more power, more responsibility. It should have been perfect, everything he'd worked for. But according to Nina, who heard from Tara, who overheard Ethan talking, Jordan turned it down. He said he wouldn't accept unless they cleared your name first, Nina told Alicia over coffee. He told Ethan that if the company couldn't see your value, then he didn't want to be part of leadership. Alicia stared at her. He did what? He stood up for you. Again, even though it might cost him everything. Tears filled Alicia's eyes. That idiot. That beautiful idiot. So what are you going to do? Alicia didn't know. But she knew she couldn't keep hiding, couldn't keep running from her feelings or the gossip or the fear. She needed to fight. For her reputation, for her career, for Jordan. And she needed to find out who was trying to destroy them. The answer came the next day from the most unexpected source. Tara knocked on Alicia's door after hours, looking nervous. Can I talk to you, privately? Of course. Come in. Tara closed the door and sat down, her hands twisting in her lap. I think I know who's been spreading the rumors, taking the photos. Alicia's heart jumped. Who? Daniel, Jordan's friend. Tara pulled out her phone, showing a screenshot. I saw him in the group chat. He's the one who posted the first Boston photos. And I overheard him talking to someone about taking Jordan down a peg because he's changed too much since you arrived. Anger flooded through Alicia. Why would he do that? I think he's jealous. Jordan used to spend all his time with Daniel. They were best friends. But after you came, Jordan started changing, becoming better, and Daniel hated it. Tara looked miserable. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I wasn't sure and I didn't want to accuse anyone without proof. It's okay. Alicia's mind was racing. Does Jordan know? I don't think so. Alicia stood. Then we need to tell him. Now. She marched to Jordan's office. He was still there, working late as usual. When he saw her, his expression shifted. Hope mixed with caution. Alicia, Daniel's been sabotaging us. He leaked the photos. He's been spreading rumors. She showed him Tara's evidence, her voice shaking with anger. Your best friend has been trying to destroy us. Jordan's face went white as he read the screenshots, then red with fury. Where is he? Jordan, wait. But he was already out the door, striding toward Daniel's office with dangerous purpose. Alicia and Tara rushed after him. They found Daniel packing up his things, preparing to leave for the day. You, Jordan's voice was cold. My office. Now. Daniel paled. Jordan, listen. Now. They all crowded into Jordan's office. The door slammed shut. Explain, Jordan demanded. Explain why you've been trying to ruin Alicia's reputation. Why you leaked private photos. Why you betrayed me. Daniel's composure cracked. She changed you. You used to be my friend. We used to hang out, grab drinks, talk about work. Then she showed up and suddenly I wasn't good enough anymore. You stopped returning my calls, stopped asking my opinion. You were too busy being her perfect partner. So you decided to destroy her career. I was trying to get you to see what she was doing, using you to climb the ladder. Jordan stepped closer, his voice lethal. Alicia has never used anyone for anything. Every success she's had, she earned. And the only person I see trying to manipulate others here is you. Jordan, we're done. Our friendship is over. Jordan turned to his computer, already typing. And I'm sending all this evidence to HR and Ethan. You'll be lucky if you're not fired by morning. Daniel's face crumbled. You're really choosing her over me? Over years of friendship? Yes, because she's worth choosing, and you've proven you're not. Daniel looked like he wanted to argue, but the fight went out of him. He grabbed his bag and left without another word. When the door closed, Jordan sagged against his desk, the adrenaline draining away. I'm sorry, he said to Alicia. I should have seen it sooner, should have protected you better. She crossed the room and took his hands. You protected me the only way you could. You believed in me. You stood up for me. You refused a promotion for me. Her voice broke. Jordan, no one's ever done that for me before. I'd do it again, 1,000 times. They stood there, hands clasped, the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. So what now? Alicia asked. Jordan pulled her closer. Now I find you, properly, outside of work, away from gossip, with no more secrets or hiding. That sounds perfect. There's just one problem. What? He smiled, soft and full of emotion. I can't wait that long. And he kissed her, right there in his office, with Tara still standing in the doorway trying not to squeal with delight. When they broke apart, Alicia was laughing. We're going to start more gossip. I don't care, let them talk. Jordan rested his forehead against hers. I'm done losing you to fear. Me too. Outside the office, rain began to fall against the windows, but inside everything finally felt right. The next morning, Alicia walked into the office with her head high. She'd barely slept. Her mind had been racing all night, replaying the confrontation with Daniel, the kiss with Jordan, the feeling that maybe, finally, things were turning around. But she was also nervous. Would people believe the truth, or would they think this was just another excuse? Nina was waiting at her desk, holding 2 coffees and wearing a huge grin. Girl, you are not going to believe what happened, Nina said, practically vibrating with excitement. What? Ethan sent out an email at 6 this morning. Daniel's been terminated effective immediately, and there's going to be a meeting at 9 to address recent workplace conduct issues. Nina's eyes sparkled. I think they're going to clear your name. Alicia's heart leaped. Are you serious? Dead serious. Tara heard Ethan and Margaret in HR first thing this morning, reviewing all the evidence Jordan submitted last night. Apparently, Daniel didn't just spread rumors about you. He's been doing shady stuff for months, taking credit for other people's work, sabotaging colleagues he saw as competition. Wow. Yeah. You weren't his first target, just his most obvious one. Nina squeezed her arm. Justice is coming, Alicia. Finally. At 9 o'clock, the entire staff gathered in the main conference room. Ethan stood at the front, his expression serious but not angry. Margaret Chen stood beside him. Alicia sat near the back, trying to be invisible. But Jordan caught her eye from across the room and gave her a small reassuring nod. Thank you all for coming, Ethan began. I want to address the rumors and speculation that have been circulating over the past few weeks regarding 2 of our employees. The room went silent. Everyone knew who he meant. After a thorough investigation, we've determined that false information was deliberately spread by a former employee to damage reputations and create division in our workplace. Ethan's voice was firm. This individual has been terminated, and we will not tolerate this kind of behavior. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I want to be absolutely clear, Ethan continued. Alicia Monroe has been an exemplary employee since joining our team. Her work on the Meridian and Hartwell accounts has been exceptional. Any suggestion that her success is due to anything other than talent and hard work is categorically false. Alicia felt tears prick her eyes. Validation, finally. Furthermore, Ethan said, his gaze sweeping the room, if anyone has concerns about workplace conduct, you bring them to HR. You don't spread gossip. You don't share photos in group chats. You don't create a hostile work environment. He paused. We're better than that, and I expect everyone here to act accordingly moving forward. Margaret added, we've updated our policies regarding workplace relationships and harassment. Everyone will receive training over the next month, and we'll be monitoring communication channels to ensure compliance. The meeting ended shortly after. People filed out quietly, many looking ashamed. A few approached Alicia to apologize, awkward, stumbling apologies, but sincere. She accepted them with grace. When the room cleared, Jordan approached her. They hadn't talked about what happened last night, the kiss in his office, what it all meant. Hey, he said softly. Hey, you okay? Yeah, I think so. She smiled, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. It feels good, being cleared. You never should have needed clearing. But I'm glad it happened anyway. He glanced around, making sure they were alone. Can we talk? Later? Somewhere private? Your place or mine? His smile was warm and genuine. Yours, if that's okay. That's perfect. That evening, Alicia tidied her apartment 3 times before Jordan arrived. She lived in a small one-bedroom in Brooklyn, cozy and personal, filled with books and plants and art she'd collected over the years. It felt intimate, having him here, like crossing a threshold into something real. When the buzzer rang, her heart jumped. She opened the door to find Jordan standing there with takeout bags and an uncertain smile. He'd changed out of his work clothes into jeans and a simple grey sweater. He looked nervous and beautiful. I brought Thai food, he said. Figured we could use actual dinner after the day we've had. You figured right. They ate at her small kitchen table, talking about work at first, safe topics, easy conversation. But gradually, the talk shifted. I need to apologize, Jordan said, setting down his fork, for everything that happened. The gossip, the HR meeting, the separation. You got dragged through hell because of me. Because of Daniel, Alicia corrected. And because of a workplace that was too quick to judge. Not because of you. Still, if I hadn't been so obvious about my feelings, Jordan, she reached across the table, taking his hand. I'm glad you were obvious. I'm glad you stood up for me. I'm glad you refused the promotion until my name was cleared. Those things mattered. They showed me who you are. Who am I? Someone worth falling for. His breath caught. Alicia, I'm scared, she admitted. This is complicated. We work together. Everyone will be watching us now. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll handle it. Together. He squeezed her hand. But I don't think it won't work out. I think we're good together. Really good. And I think we deserve a chance to see where this goes. She looked at their joined hands, then up at his face. He was looking at her like she was the most important thing in the world. Okay, she whispered. Let's try. Jordan stood, pulling her up with him. His hands cupped her face gently, thumbs brushing her cheeks. I'm going to kiss you now, he said softly. And this time there's no interruptions, no audience, just us. Just us, she agreed. He kissed her slowly, sweetly, like they had all the time in the world. And maybe they did. Maybe this was just the beginning. When they finally broke apart, both were smiling. Stay, Alicia said. It wasn't a question. It was a request. A hope. Jordan's answer was another kiss. The next few weeks transformed everything. Daniel's termination sent shockwaves through the office, but in a good way. People were more careful about gossip, more respectful. The toxic atmosphere lifted, replaced by something healthier. Alicia and Jordan were careful too. They kept their relationship professional during work hours. No public displays of affection, no special treatment, nothing that could be misconstrued. But after work, they were inseparable. Dinners at little restaurants, Jordan discovered. Weekend walks through Central Park. Late-night conversations that stretched until dawn. Movie marathons on her couch. His terrible attempts at cooking that always ended in laughter, and ordering pizza instead. Alicia learned that Jordan was thoughtful in small ways, remembering her coffee order, sending her articles he thought she'd like, leaving sticky notes with encouraging messages on her desk when she had tough presentations. Jordan learned that Alicia was funny when she relaxed, quick with sarcastic comebacks, terrible at video games but competitive anyway, able to quote entire movies from memory. They fit together, in work and in life, like two puzzle pieces that had been waiting to click into place. Nina watched it all with satisfied approval. I knew it, she said over lunch one day. From the moment you walked in and smiled at his stupid comment, I knew you two were going to end up together. You did not, Alicia laughed. Okay, maybe not right away, but after Boston, definitely. Tara had become Alicia's shadow at work, soaking up knowledge and asking a million questions. She was thrilled about the relationship. It's like a rom-com but real, and occasionally tried to play matchmaker, even though Alicia and Jordan were already together. Tara, Alicia said gently one afternoon, you don't need to leave Jordan and me alone in conference rooms on purpose. We're adults. We can manage. Tara blushed. I just want you guys to be happy. We are, I promise. And they were. Happier than Alicia had been in years. 1 month after Daniel's termination, Ethan called Jordan and Alicia into his office. They exchanged nervous glances. Were they in trouble again? Had someone complained? But Ethan was smiling when they entered. Sit down, he said. I have a proposition. They sat. The firm is expanding. We're opening a new division focused on digital transformation and brand innovation, cutting-edge stuff, high-profile clients. Ethan leaned forward. I want you two to co-lead it. Alicia blinked. Co-lead? Yes. You'd both be promoted to associate directors. Equal authority, shared responsibility, your own team. Ethan's expression was serious. I've watched you work together. You balance each other, challenge each other, make each other better. That's exactly what this division needs. Jordan looked at Alicia. She looked back. The same thought passed between them. This is huge. This is everything. There's one condition, Ethan continued. You'll need to formally disclose your relationship to HR, sign the appropriate paperwork, keep clear boundaries between personal and professional. Can you do that? Yes, Alicia said immediately. Absolutely, Jordan added. Good. Ethan extended his hand. Welcome to leadership. They shook his hand, then walked out of his office in a daze. Once they were alone in the elevator, Jordan turned to Alicia with a huge grin. We did it. We did it. She laughed, throwing her arms around him. Oh my God, we actually did it. He spun her around, both of them laughing like kids. When he set her down, he kissed her, quick and joyful. I'm so proud of you, he said. You earned this. We earned this. Together. Together, he agreed. I like the sound of that. That night, they celebrated at her favorite restaurant. Nothing fancy, just good food and better company. They talked about the new division, about their goals, about the future. I want to build something meaningful, Alicia said, her eyes bright with excitement. Not just campaigns that sell products, but campaigns that matter, that change how people think. We will, Jordan promised. With you leading creative and me handling strategy, we can do anything. You really believe that? I really do. He reached across the table, lacing his fingers through hers. You know what the best part is? What? I get to work with my best friend every day, and then go home with my favorite person every night. Alicia's heart swelled. When did you get so romantic? When I met someone worth being romantic for. She laughed, shaking her head. You're still trouble, you know that? Yeah, but now I'm your trouble. Yes, she said softly. You are. 2 weeks later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Alicia sat in their shared office, the new space Ethan had given them for the digital division. Their office. Together. It still felt surreal. Jordan arrived with coffee and bagels, his usual Sunday routine. They often came in on weekends now, not because they had to, but because they loved the work they were building. Morning, he said, kissing her cheek before handing over her coffee. Morning. She took a grateful sip. I've been thinking about the Sterling pitch. Yeah? What if we flip the whole approach? Instead of focusing on their product features, we focus on the customer journey, show real stories, real transformations. Jordan's eyes lit up. That's brilliant. It's riskier, but if we execute it right, it could be groundbreaking. They spent the next hour brainstorming, ideas flowing between them effortlessly. This was what they did best, creating something together, pushing each other to think bigger and bolder. At one point, Jordan leaned back in his chair, watching her sketch concepts on the whiteboard. What? She asked, noticing his stare. Just thinking about that first day. When you walked into the conference room and I said that stupid thing. Alicia turned to face him fully. You mean, when you said black women are too much trouble? Yeah, that. He stood, walking over to her. I was so wrong. You're not trouble. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You challenged me, changed me, made me see things differently. He touched her face gently. You were never trouble, Alicia. You were my lesson, and I'm still learning. Her eyes filled with tears, happy ones. You finally passed, you know. The test. You passed a long time ago. Did I? Yes. The moment you stood up for me. The moment you chose me over your pride. The moment you proved that people can change. She kissed him softly. You became the man I needed. The partner I deserved. I want to keep being that man. Every day. You will. I believe in you. They stood there in their shared space, surrounded by dreams they were building together, and Alicia felt completely, perfectly at peace. 6 months later, the digital division was thriving. They'd landed 3 major clients. Their campaigns were winning awards. The team they'd built was talented and motivated. Everything was clicking. But more importantly, Alicia and Jordan were happy. They'd moved in together, a bigger apartment in Brooklyn with space for both of them, and all their combined books and plants. They'd met each other's families, made plans for the future. It wasn't always perfect. They still argued sometimes about campaigns, about strategy, about whose turn it was to do dishes. But they'd learned how to fight fair, how to listen, how to come back together stronger. One evening, as they walked home from work hand in hand, Jordan brought up the past. "Remember when you first started and everyone was watching us?" he asked. "How could I forget? I was thinking about it today, about how scared I was of what people would think, about losing control of the narrative." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "But the truth is, the best thing I ever did was stop caring about the narrative and start caring about you." Alicia smiled. "That's very sweet. But also people aren't really watching anymore." "No. No, we're boring now, just another office couple who works well together." Jordan laughed. "I can live with being boring." "Me too." They continued walking, the city alive around them, autumn leaves falling in golden spirals. When they reached their building, Jordan pulled her close. "I love you," he said simply, "in case I haven't said it enough today. You've said it 3 times, but I never get tired of hearing it." She kissed him. "I love you too." Inside their apartment, they made dinner together, Jordan attempting to cook while Alicia corrected his technique and stole bites of ingredients. They ate on the couch, watching a movie neither really paid attention to. At one point, Alicia rested her head on Jordan's shoulder, feeling completely content. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For proving me wrong." "About what?" "That first day when I heard what you said, I thought you were just another arrogant guy who'd never see past his own biases. But you changed. You grew. You became someone better." She looked up at him. "Not everyone does that. But you did." Jordan's arm tightened around her. "You made me want to change. You showed me what I was missing, what I could be." He kissed her forehead. "I'm not perfect, Alicia. I'll probably mess up again sometimes. We both will. That's being human. But as long as we face it together, I think we'll be okay." "More than okay," she agreed. "We'll be perfect for each other." 1 year after Alicia first walked into Sullivan and Associates, the company held another gala. This time, when she arrived, no one whispered. No one stared with judgment. People greeted her warmly, congratulated her on the division's success, treated her like the talented professional she was. Jordan was already there, looking handsome in his suit, talking with Ethan about a potential new client. When he saw Alicia, his face lit up, the same way it had a year ago, but now without any hesitation or fear. He excused himself and came straight to her. "You look amazing," he said, taking her hand. "So do you." They moved into the party together, comfortable and confident. Nina waved from across the room, giving them a thumbs up. Tara bounced over with excited updates about her own promotion, inspired, she said, by watching Alicia succeed. Later, during the speeches, Ethan highlighted the digital division's accomplishments. He called Jordan and Alicia to the stage, praising their leadership and vision. "These two prove that when you combine different strengths and perspectives, you create something extraordinary," Ethan said. "They're the future of this firm." The room applauded. Jordan squeezed Alicia's hand. Afterward, they escaped to the rooftop again, the same spot where they'd first kissed a year ago. "Remember this place?" Jordan asked. "How could I forget? This is where everything changed." "It is. But you know what?" "What?" "I think everything changed before that. It changed the day you walked in and smiled at my stupid comment instead of calling me out. You had grace when I didn't deserve it, and that changed everything." Alicia leaned against the railing, looking out at the city. "I was so angry that day, but also curious. I wanted to know if you were just another jerk or if there was something real underneath." And there was something real, something worth fighting for. Jordan moved behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, resting his chin on her shoulder. "I'm glad you fought. I'm glad you didn't give up on me. I'm glad you didn't give up on us." They stood there in comfortable silence, the city glittering below, music drifting up from the party inside. "Alicia? Yeah? I want this, always, you and me, building things together, facing whatever comes next, growing old and still arguing about campaign strategies." She turned in his arms, smiling up at him. "That sounds perfect." "Yeah? Yeah." She kissed him softly. "You were never really trouble, Jordan. You were just waiting to be found. And you found me. We found each other." As they kissed under the stars, surrounded by the city they both loved, Alicia thought about that first day, about hearing those careless words and choosing grace over anger, about the journey from rivals to partners to something deeper than she'd ever imagined. Love didn't fix everything. It didn't erase the difficulties or the struggles or the work it took to build something real. But love, the right love with the right person, made everything worth it. Jordan pulled back, his forehead resting against hers. "Still think I'm arrogant?" Alicia laughed. "A little. But now you're my arrogant marketing genius, and you're my brilliant, patient, incredible strategist who's way too good for me." "True, but I'll keep you anyway." "Promise?" Promise. They went back inside hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Together, always together. Because that's what love was. Not perfection, not ease, but partnership, growth, choosing each other every single day. And Alicia Munro and Jordan Hayes, they'd keep choosing each other for all the days ahead. Months later in the office they shared, "You're still doing it wrong," Alicia said, leaning over Jordan's shoulder to look at his computer screen. "I'm not doing it wrong. I'm doing it differently. Differently wrong." He spun his chair around, pulling her onto his lap. "You're impossible, you know that? You love it." "I do." He kissed her nose. "I really do." Tara knocked on the glass door, her eyes wide. "Sorry to interrupt, but the Sterling client just called. They love the campaign and want to double their budget." Alicia and Jordan exchanged excited looks. "That's amazing," Alicia said. "Set up a meeting for tomorrow." "Will do." Tara grinned and left. Alicia turned back to Jordan. "We did it again. We always do. We're a good team. The best team." He pulled her closer. "You know what I realized?" "What?" "That first day, I said black women are too much trouble. But the truth is, you were never trouble. You were the answer I didn't know I was looking for." Alicia's eyes softened. "And you were the lesson I needed to learn. That people can change. That love can transform. That the right partner makes you better. We make each other better." "Yes, we do." They sat there in their shared office, surrounded by the success they'd built together, and Alicia felt nothing but gratitude for the journey, for the growth, for the man who'd started as her adversary and become her everything. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," Jordan replied, "always." And in that moment, everything was exactly as it should be. Perfect, real, and theirs. The end.